listen to this progression here, okay? Listen to how it goes up. It steps up from one moment to another and leads you there. Just yes. I mean, look, you can play an E pentatonic scale at 100 miles an hour till somebody's ears burn off. You can learn that, right? But finding the tangents within the framework, therein lies the artistry, man.
Junk food supper.
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 Junk food
Junk
supper.
food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper.
Junk food supper.
Welcome to
Junk
Junk
food
Food
supper.
Supper. This is the podcast where pretty much every week we get together and we talk about weirdo movies, all the stuff you can find in a video store, all the stuff you can find in the Jules Verne section of the library. I am Parker, joined as always by Sean Byron. Sean Byron, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, despite the fact that this week I had very minimal hope for a Gertrude the Goose on screen, because we are taking a break now from the Jules Verne section of the library. We're moving into baseball town.
Yeah, it's baseball season. You know, it's the end of summer. This is the time when I think about baseball, I think about this time of year. This like kind of end of summer. It's almost crisp there in some parts of the world, certainly not in the part we live in, but some parts of the world are experiencing a crispness, but it's still humid and muggy like summer. Perfect baseball weather. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the go-to phrase, kind of the time-tested phrase about baseball is it happens every spring. But with a season as long as baseball, with thousands of games played per year, you really need to watch that much baseball. I think most Americans probably do start their baseball watching in September.
Yeah, I guess the season does start in spring, but I feel like in spring's like, when basketball's heating up, that's like playoff time. Like I feel like spring isn't baseball time. Fall's baseball time.
Yeah.
Into summer, fall. Like not totally fall, but yeah, I feel like this is baseball time.
They call them the boys of summer, and it's still technically summer. So I think that we're, within our rights to celebrate baseball this time of year.
Yeah. Baseball is July 4th through Labor Day. I would say that that's peak baseball.
Yeah. Well, we're right in there.
Yeah. The perfect timing for this baseball movie that has very little baseball in it. Just a little bit of baseball.
Oh, we'll get to that for sure.
Well, baseball casts a large shadow over it, but the actual act of playing baseball, very little of it in the movie. But yeah, but we'll talk about that. But what else should we talk about? You've been doing anything exciting this week?
Virtually nothing of note, of import, nothing too exciting. Pretty much just kind of mentally preparing myself for my upcoming trip over here, where I got to meet up with family members that I haven't seen in like 5 to 10 years, and I guess kind of brace myself for how old and decrepit everybody's going to look, because that's how life goes,
Yeah. Yeah, that is definitely a thing if you don't see your family for like a long time and then you get to see them. I'm in the same boat. Like I've seen my family one time a couple years ago since moving out here, and yeah, everybody was significantly older. It's very upsetting.
Yeah, I mean, my fear is, especially post-pandemic, I haven't seen anybody in 5 years. And so, I lost a few grandparents over the past few years. The one that's still remaining, hopefully she's doing great. Sounds like she's doing good when I talked to her on the phone. But yeah, I mean, everybody's old. Everybody's old now and only getting older in the future. So, I guess now is the time I should see them before they get so old that I can't even speak to them.
Yeah, that's definitely not a good amount of oldness to see family members.
Yeah,
when they don't register your voice. That's you've waited too far at that point.
I've certainly been there. I had both of my grandpas went through pretty heavy dementia, and I remember meeting one of them 5 years ago, and him having no concept of who I was, like just like befuddled. He's like, I don't have a grandson. Meanwhile, he's got like 4 or 5, but yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, my great grandpa did that too. I only met him like one time in my life because he lived in Florida. But I met him like, I guess in hindsight, like right when he was beginning that. And yeah, you can like definitely tell that something was kind of going on. And then a couple years later, I was like 8 at the time. And a couple years later, yeah, it was like full on. My family would tell me stories about. So yeah, that's definitely a rough one.
Yeah. Well, on that subject, not to make the top of the show just completely depressing here, but wanted to say rest in peace, Terry Funk. You'll be missed. Legitimately,
Yeah.
my favorite wrestler probably my entire life. Well, that's not. I mean, when I was like 5 or 6, it was Hulk Hogan. But from the second that I saw that Stranglemania tape, and debatably even before that, that middle-aged and crazy motherfucker Terry Funk was my dude.
Yeah, he was great. He was a good one. I feel like he's the kind of guy that I just didn't get exposed to a ton, so I'm not like as big of a fan of his as other people. I think the first time I ever saw him was that Japanese death match with Mick Foley, because my mom had like a strange boyfriend who gave me a tape of that in like 8th grade or something, and it was like the coolest thing I ever saw. But then outside of that, I think that the next time I'd even heard of Terry Funk was probably when he was Chainsaw Charlie in the WWE.
Oh, really?
Perhaps
That
a low
sucks.
point in his career.
Yeah. You missed out on all the cool WCW Ric Flair Terry Funk feud stuff where he like pile drives Flair through the ringside table, which was a huge deal at the time. People couldn't believe it,
Yeah. Afterwards, I boned up on some of that stuff. Like once I saw him in like ECW and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I got to watch a little bit more of this guy. And yeah, some of that stuff's fun. And the dumpster match he had with Cactus Jack against the New Age Outlaws in WWE, that was a great match. So it wasn't all bad in the WWE.
Where they got pushed over the edge of the walkway out there by the Jumbotron inside the dumpster. That was a crazy moment for sure.
Definitely one of those things where like you can die from that. Yeah, one of those crazy things that those sickos were always up to.
I also always loved the moment during Mick Foley's Hell in the Cell match with Undertaker where Funk shows up, not dressed for the ring whatsoever. He's wearing like, jogging pants or something and a ball cap, but just out there to support his friend and check on, is Mick okay? And then he does that little, improvised fight with Undertaker where it doesn't look super believable, but you appreciate the effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely like a legendary amount of improv skills. The yes-anding to the highest degree when you are not even like wrestling on a show and yet you run out because your friend is hurt and you tell the Undertaker to choke slam you just to buy him like 30 seconds of breathing room to get over being like thrown 30 feet through the air.
Yeah, totally. Actually, I noticed his improv skills last week. I was watching Terry Funk on Piper's Pit, and I think Roddy Piper probably did this a lot, but I feel like he did it especially in this one with Terry Funk, where Piper knows that they're live in front of an audience. They might have even have been live on TV at the time. I'm not sure, but he knows like if he pushes Terry to have to improvise in this kind of environment, like wild things might happen. And so throughout this Piper's Pit, he's like asking Terry Funk to like give an impression of what it sounds like when a cow is branded and things like this. And Terry's got to like jump into gear and make what he thinks is a cow being branded noise. But he does it without even dropping a beat. Like he stays in character. He's like, yeah, I'm middle-aged and crazy. I'm this crazy redneck guy, and I'll hoot and holler like a branded cow for you. I don't mind.
I like the sound of that. Roddy Piper is wonderful. Speaking of favorite wrestlers of all time, he's in the top 2 for me. That guy. Yeah,
well, they're both gone. So hopefully they're, cracking brews up there in the clouds.
Yeah.
What about you, though?
I've been doing absolutely nothing. I've been playing this new Baldur's Gate video game.
Yeah.
And that is it.
Is this potentially a satanic game, Baldur's Gate? Is there any Satan involved in this?
There's lots of Satans.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like specific. It's like a D&D campaign basically, but there's a lot of like devils and demons, and you can like sell your soul to a demon in it and all this kind of stuff. It's very fun.
Yeah, that's my memory of that series, is that there's some satanic elements that maybe maybe your participation in playing this game was inspired by our recent episode 666.
That
Could
could
that
be
a fact?
Well, and the time. I mean, it just came out too, so the timing is right. But perhaps that's all thanks to the will of the great Satan, is that he made the game come out right when we were celebrating our 666th anniversary episode show.
I mean, that would be just like him, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it would. But,
You're playing this
yeah,
on your personal computer, or what's the platform here?
Oh yeah, on my computer, on that Alienware. My good buddy Alienware.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been fun. Everybody's saying it's going to be like the best game of the year and all this stuff, and it probably is, but I don't know. I'm a very old curmudgeon, and I kind of like the first two Baldur's Gates from 20 years ago better than this one, but that's because I'm elderly, I think.
Is this now like an MMO type of a deal, or are they still making like just kind of standalone non-online RPGs on computer anymore?
Well, they're not, which is what makes this game so notable, is that, yeah, it's a standalone game with like no DLCs and no real online stuff. Like you can play like multiplayer with your friend, like the way that you would like split screen back in the day. Like, but yeah, it's not like an MMO, and it's not like competition based multiplayer or anything like that. It's just a nice story. Just one big long story, like how they used to do in the olden days.
Okay, I like this. So it seems like there is no risk then of me potentially getting yelled at by other players for not role playing enough.
No
People
risk.
telling me this is an RP server.
No, nothing like that. Which is good because, yeah, those RP servers they give me a lot of anxiety whenever I join those. Once every like 8 years when I try an online game. Yeah, I'm always afraid of getting yelled at. That's why there's this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre game that just came out that I've been wanting to buy, but I'm very afraid of playing that and then being called all kinds of slurs, which is basically what happens anytime you play an online game.
Yeah. I'd rather not be referred to as a noob just because I'm trying to ask questions out of character. You know what I mean? Like, just tell me where the drop is.
Yeah. That was always, yeah. You had to get out of character to ask when playing World of Warcraft where the tunnel was in the capital city that everybody had sex in. Like, do you remember? Did you ever join that server, the sex server? Where
I don't remember that. So Warcraft City where people are having sex, what city would that be?
What's the name? Is it
not the Gnome City, right? That's got tunnels in it.
Well, it's between. There's like that tunnel that would take you from the Gnome City to the Human City. And if you go in there, like not on the little train, but like if you just walk through the tunnels, and like some of the roleplay servers, people would be in there just having cyber sex, as they used to call it.
I rode those trains on a daily basis, and I had no idea the filth that was occurring right outside the window. That is kind of alarming.
Just hundreds of gnomes, dwarves, and humans in there having sex. Perversions.
What the fuck?
Gross.
Exactly. It was wild times back in those days.
Yeah, kids don't know. You know, kids today, they didn't play Ultima Online. You know what I mean?
Oh,
they don't remember 2D MMOs.
I loved Ultima Online. I remember working an entire summer chopping wood and selling animal skins so I could buy a little house in the woods in Ultima Online. It was the greatest day of my life.
I'm sure
when
it was
I finally
worth
got
it.
that house. It was.
Yeah, I'd collect pelts all day long if I could get a nice little cabin in the woods, you know?
Exactly. But speaking of collecting pelts, we're here to talk about baseball. And I think that you've got a segment for us that is about baseball.
Well, yeah, this will be the one segment on the show that is, in fact, about baseball. It's a segment that I prepared before I actually knew the contents of the movie that we'll be reviewing later. And so I thought,
baseball.
let's
Come on. You're going crazy. There's baseball in that movie. I saw some baseball in there.
We'll talk about it. But yeah, I figured let's talk baseball. And how do we talk on this show except through the time-tested format of the good, the bad, and the weird? Which is a segment that has always existed. It's always been a part of this show. And it's always been called the good, the bad, and the weird. It's never been called anything else. Is that right?
That's true. Yeah, as far as I can remember.
Yeah. So we will be going through our good, bad, and weird examples of baseball in all media. So rather than just limiting to movies, we'll open it up to just about anything. I mean, if you picked a set of collectible cards, I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm pretty open. But let's have you kick it off then. What is your good baseball media pick?
My good baseball media pick is that clip that Kevin showed me so long ago on this very podcast of the time that someone hit a foul ball and then a different guy caught it in the stands. A guy sitting in the stands caught it rather than letting the player catch it. The outfielder who was running for it. And so that really made the crowd mad, because that would have been good for their home team for this guy to catch it. But then, the audience member, he was very, very selfish in catching it himself. And so someone threw pizza at him. And the announcer, when they played it back, they're talking about this kerfuffle. And the announcer, while doing the playback, he says the phrase,
"Why
here
are
comes
they
the
fighting
pizza?"
Dracula, for God's sakes?
No, he doesn't talk about Dracula. He says, "Here comes the pizza." And then the other announcer, in his beautiful broadcaster voice, he says, "Highly unnecessary." It's the funniest fucking thing in the world to me. I imagine you've probably seen this clip or heard me and Kevin say those two phrases hundreds of times over the years.
I've seen the clip. I've loved the clip. I wonder if we maybe had even played the audio of that clip on the show once, like 1,000 years ago. I think that might be possible. But yeah, a legendary moment in baseball history. I think that there's a whole wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame dedicated just to that incident and kind of going over it from different perspectives. They interviewed the fans involved, the players involved, the announcers. No, I mean, it's a very funny clip. And I would like to know more what happened to those guys, because actually, I mean, come to think of it, there is a documentary that's about this Chicago Cubs fan who did a similar thing where he leans over and catches a ball that the fielder maybe would have otherwise caught. And this was a very pivotal game in the Cubs' lead up to potentially getting to the World Series for the first time in forever, because this is before they finally re-won it. And, so the fans hated this guy that he fucked up the play, ruined the Cubs fans, or ruined the Cubs' chances at, winning the World Series or even going there. And then, he was harassed in real life for years, and then eventually they made a documentary about this guy, what his life was like. So I'd like to know what happened to these pizza dudes. Are they still out there throwing pizza around at games?
I would imagine so. I mean, I'd imagine that he's probably if you're the guy who threw the pizza, you probably have a piece of that pizza bronzed on your wall. I would think that you probably collected it for posterity after throwing it at the guy.
Got it authenticated on the way out of the ballpark. You bring it over that little table. The guy, writes a little number on the back on a sticker or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think that would have to be the case, because I mean, it's just such a historic moment in baseball history.
I love it. I think baseball fans agree. That was one of the pivotal moments of baseball history.
What is your good? Is it as pivotal of a moment? Pivotable?
It was some word that is tough to pronounce when it's 100 degrees in my bedroom. But no, I was tempted to pick at first Homer at the Bat from season 3 of The Simpsons, which,
Mhm.
by the way, I was surprised. Like, I did a Google search for baseball episode of The Simpsons. Homer at the Bat was not the first result. It was some other episode from season 12 about the isotopes. It's like, what the fuck is this all about?
Yeah.
But tempted to pick it because, I mean, for one, it's got that great roasting of Daryl Strawberry that we all love. And it's got, you know, Mr. Burns's old-timey attitudes about baseball and facial hair that we all love. But I felt like, you know what, that's kind of a basic bitch pick. So I went for something that is maybe less known, although I've probably talked about it on the show a million times before, and that is Cyber Stadium Series, Base Wars. And this is a baseball video game for NES that was released in, according to Wikipedia, either May or June of 1991. They're not sure. Developed by Konami. And it's a robot baseball game. The plot is set in the 24th century, where baseball team owners are dissatisfied about overpaying their players. And the example that they give in the plot description is, for example, we're paying $2.4 billion per year for a lifetime 250 hitter, which I guess is probably close to what these guys are getting paid now, $2.4 billion a year. And so they replace their athletes with armed robots. And there's like 4 different types of robots you can choose from. You know, there's a guy with cool, like, tank style wheel tread things on his bottom. There's another guy that's just like super jacked and can hit the ball really far. And, you know, they've all got their advantages, disadvantages. There's even a system where, like, your robots can fight, I think, during the game. And if they take damage, you know, eventually they get eliminated from the game. I haven't played this since I was probably 9 years old or whatever, but I fucking loved it at that time. Maybe partially because it came out in the wake of RoboCop, which I loved, and it kind of looks like you got RoboCop playing baseball, basically. I'd be curious to go back to it. The reviews on Wikipedia don't seem to be glowing, but who knows? I mean, the people who update Wikipedia are kind of weird, and maybe they just pulled in all the bad reviews from all the established publications that they could find. In fact, actually, I see that somebody thought it was smart to include this little bit on the Wikipedia. They wrote, as of February 1992, Funko was offering $26, equivalent to $54 in 2022, to customers selling a copy of Base Wars. As if that would be even remotely interesting to anybody. Like, who cares what Funko was paying for this NES cartridge in 1992? Jesus Christ. But a game that I've got tons of, you know, fond memories of playing, rushing home after school to play. But do you remember this Base Wars? Were you obsessed with this robot-based NES baseball game?
I was not. I vaguely remember the cover, but I don't think I ever played it. Which is weird because this is, I mean, when I was little, I was like obsessed with baseball from like age like 8 to 11 or something. And Nintendo. So I feel like this should have been up my alley, but yeah, I just never had it. I mean, this is back in the day when, you know, Nintendo games were like basically unattainable unless it was Christmas or your birthday. So
Yeah.
it was very hard to get your hands on some of these things. And if your local video store didn't have it to rent, then you were just like kind of out of luck. So yeah, I would have enjoyed it, I think.
This was definitely a rental title for me. I don't think that I ever did own it, but it was like, you know, among the stacks of tapes or cartridges at my local video store. And I think they were like $1 for like a 2-day rental or something. So I was all over this back in the day.
That's a good deal. I did own Bases Loaded 3, which was a very fun game, and a game wherein one night during a sleepover, I beat my friend Brandon 25-5, which is just an incredible baseball score. I mean, just legendary. What a legendary performance by my team that night. 25-5. Could not believe it. And to this day, I bring it up to him every time I talk to him. Just a magnificent win. Total domination.
Wow. I mean, I would expect your friend Brandon to maybe throw a full pizza in your face for that kind of a rubbing it in performance. I mean, Isn't there a mercy rule in Bases Loaded 3?
There probably should have been. I think he had never played the game before, and I played it 8 hours a day for months. So
Well, you should be embarrassed.
Not the fairest game in the world.
All right. Well, what is your bad baseball media?
Well, my bad. I don't have a ton to say about it. I saw it. It's a movie that I saw like 25 years ago when it first came out, or maybe not when it first came out, but like whenever it came to video. And I remember almost nothing about it other than the fact that it was very unfunny. But it's the movie Ed, that movie where Matt LeBlanc teaches a chimp how to play baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a genre that like is always full of bangers. You know, anytime you can teach a dog or a chimp how to play baseball or any sport really, it's going to be a pretty good movie.
Or teach them anything. You teach a chimp how to be a cop. That's fun, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't like chimpanzees doing police work?
Exactly. Teach an ape sign language and then take it to the Congo with Tim Curry. Banger movie.
Yeah.
But I remember Ed not being very good. And this is like, especially, you know, at the time, like Most Valuable Primate was out around the same time. And that's like a classic film. So to have like, you know, the star of the biggest comedy of the decade in a movie like this, like a big budget affair, like it should have been a great one, but it was very bad.
Oh, does this feature the star of Most Valuable Primate?
It's probably the same monkey. I mean, it's probably pretty difficult to teach more than one monkey how to play baseball. So they probably just had to use the same guy.
Man. And he was probably thinking, this is it, man. 2 in a row. I'm on my way to being Hollywood royalty. I'm going to be sitting, you know, courtside with Jack at the Lakers games. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't happen for him. He blew it. That's a bummer.
Yeah. Once you have a bomb that big, it's hard to come back from it.
The monkey was good at curing terminal cancer.
Oh, I don't know what that means, Kevin, but I'm glad that you said it. I haven't seen this. I actually would still like to see this, despite you saying that it's bad. I mean, I kind of knew it would be bad, but there's got to be some joy in seeing, you know, a real life monkey play baseball.
Yeah. Well, I think this April, we can definitely get a baseball theme show together. Because there's the MVP movie, there's that Korean movie, Mr. Go, that I've been wanting to watch for like 15 years about a gorilla that plays baseball. It's a rich genre full of interesting, thematically rich films.
I'm down for that. There's a Dom DeLuise monkey movie called Going Bananas, I think. That
Oh, yeah.
I imagine has got to have at least one reference to baseball. Probably got more baseball than your movie pick tonight.
That's possible. But what is your bad baseball pick?
So my bad is maybe a little bit of sacrilege, but man, I've tried to watch this thing, honestly, for the past 15, maybe 20 years. I've been trying to watch this thing, and I have gotten into it more than a dozen times, and I've never made it altogether too far into it because it's 19 hours across 10 episodes of Ken Burns's baseball. You know, which on the surface should appeal to me. I mean, I like baseball. I like old-timey nonsense. I like things to be boring, actually. And so you would think, oh, this will be perfect. Old-timey, boring baseball shit. But it reaches new levels of boring that I was, I guess, just not prepared for. And despite multiple attempts, I think I'm still stuck in like the late 1940s, maybe, because this whole thing goes through chronologically. And man, the 1800s are fucking boring in baseball. But it doesn't get much better pre-war. And I'm hoping that, you know, if I eventually get to like Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier and then get into an era where there's players that I kind of recognize, it might be more fun. But it is homework getting there. And I would imagine that when I get to the 2000s, it probably won't even have a pizza incident chapter.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ken Burns is not a good documentarian if he does not include the Here Comes the Pizza chapter.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried to watch this or watch any Ken Burns stuff?
I've seen like clips here and there of Ken Burns stuff. He seems like the kind of guy that I would be into if I sat down and like really paid attention to his huge, long documentaries. Like he's got a Dust Bowl one that I want to see. But
Yeah.
I've seen a little bit of this. I think it was this. And I think it was like I was just flipping through the channels and I started watching it. And then it was where I learned that the Bongo Band song that we use on Junk Food Dinner was not made by Kevin, because they use it's like the theme song from the documentary, isn't it?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
Isn't it from The Incredible Two-Headed Man or whatever?
I don't know. It's in some baseball documentary. I thought maybe it was the Ken Burns one, but maybe it's a different one. But I was watching some baseball documentary at some point, like 3 years into Junk Food Dinner, and that song came on. And I was like, what the fuck? They're using Kevin's song. This is incredible.
I hope he's getting paid for this.
Yeah, and then I learned that was not Kevin's song. But yeah, so I guess maybe it's not the Ken Burns one, but now there's no reason to watch the Ken Burns one if Kevin's song's not even on the soundtrack.
Yeah, no, I think all of the music from Ken Burns' baseball is like public domain music from like the 1860s. Like it sounds like it is coming from like a wax cylinder. You know what I mean? He sucks. I don't know. I tried to watch Ken Burns' jazz documentary as well, and same kind of deal. I got like 2 episodes in, and I'm like, this is too boring. This feels too much like homework, and I couldn't believe it because I wanted, that kind of slow, dry, scholarly dissection of either baseball and or jazz. And in both cases, it was just more than I could handle.
There's a really good episode of Community, which is a parody of a Ken Burns documentary about, like, in the show, it's about college kids and they had a pillow fight, and they do the episode like a Ken Burns documentary about this pillow fight, and it's very good. So if the Ken Burns documentaries are anything like that, then maybe they're good. But I assume that the episode of Community is probably better than all of them put together.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Well, what is your weird baseball media pick?
Well, maybe it will surprise you. But it's MTV's Rockin' Jock. This is
I forgot about this thing.
Yeah, it was a staple all throughout the 90s. The first one was a baseball one that began, let's see, what year? 1991. They did this thing where they would get rock stars and hip hop stars and athletes together and make them play baseball. So the first one happened at Dido Field at USC in LA. I'm probably saying that very wrong. The team coaches were Sammy Hagar and Sam Kinison. And the players, there were the 2 teams, the Aardvarks and the Salamanders. Check out some of these crazy-ass names on these teams. The Aardvarks had Eddie Murphy, Bret Michaels of Poison, Barry Larkin, Corbin Burnson.
Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murray. My mistake. Eddie Murray.
Who is Bill Murray's 3rd youngest brother, or who is Eddie Murray?
He was with the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Mark McGuire, Belinda Carlisle, Howard Johnson, MC Hammer, and Keanu Reeves.
Wait, Howard Johnson from the hotel chain?
Well, isn't Howard Johnson from the hotel chain the same as Howard Johnson, the guy who was on like the Mets or whatever?
I didn't know that. I don't think so. I think the Howard Johnsons have been around since like the 50s at least or something.
Oh, really? I thought they were named for the baseball player from the 80s.
No, I don't believe so.
Well,
I think that is maybe an incident of somebody giving him a clever name. Like his parents are like, oh, let's call him Howard Johnson, to reference the famous hotel chain.
His nickname is Hojo, and the hotels are called Hojos.
Well, that's derived from the initials of his name.
I gotta look this up. I gotta find out about this. Maybe not. Maybe it's not on his Wikipedia. I'll look into this after the show. I'll do some research. Also, David Faustino was on that team, the Aardvarks. The Salamanders, of course, had Wally Joyner, Tone Loc, Kevin Costner. Yeah.
You skipped over somebody on the Aardvarks that was incredible. Under
Ryan
David
Robbins?
Faust. Under him.
Oh, Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, there you go. Did you
I
mention him?
mentioned Keanu. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. You just
Well,
didn't go in order.
I threw him in there like willy-nilly, like with a bunch of other names.
I mean, that's pretty cool to see Keanu Reeves putting on the legendary Aardvarks uniform. You know, must have been a real honor for the alumni of the Aardvark squad.
Yeah. Also, oddly, he's listed like way down here on the list. Like he's not even a starter because they've got everybody's positions that they play here. So like he wasn't even a starter. He's like 12th in rotation, but now in 2023, easily the most famous person on either one of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, 1990, he had pretty much only done Bill and Ted's, and that's it, right? Some Canadian movies, maybe?
Yeah, pretty much, I think.
But was kind of an MTV staple from the beginning, I would imagine, based on the character.
Yeah, for sure. Daryl Strawberry, Kip Winger, Rafael Palmeiro, the Texas Ranger, Stephen Adler from Guns N' Roses. Most notably, of course, Robert Wall, the star of the Tim Burton Batman movie, who gets way more screen time than Michael Keaton in that movie that people tell me is good for some reason. And the guy from Cheap Trick is also in there. But yeah, incredible lineups, right? For these weird baseball games that MTV put together.
I didn't remember that there was such an incredible lineup. I remember Rock and Jock being a thing, but it's been so long since I even thought about it that, I'm imagining I didn't see this first one. I probably caught a later one. I think my memory is more of like a football thing.
Yeah.
Did they ever play football?
They did. They would go on to do basketball, football, and I think the final one was bowling in 1999.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder, can I find these on YouTube?
I think that they're out there. I looked a little bit. I didn't watch a whole one, but there's clips here and there. I think the basketball ones really kind of took off after a while and were like really popular. But I always watched the baseball ones because I was into baseball at the time, and like the baseball ones just had like huge fucking stars. Like here, let's see, this is the 4th annual one in '94. Had Ken Griffey Jr., Jose Canseco, Chuck D, Bon Jovi, Scott Ian from Anthrax, Flavor Flav, Brett Michaels, Michael Richards of Seinfeld, Dweezil Zappa, William Ragsdale of Fright Night, and all 3 Salt and Peppas on one team.
Man, that's not even fair. I see that the second inaugural one, 1991, you got Jaleel White Urkel versus Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking can't miss, must see TV on the diamond. That's incredible.
Yeah. And Corin Nemec from Parker Lewis Can't Lose, the guy who single-handedly made it cool to have my first name when I was in first grade.
It looks like MC Hammer appears in at least 3 of the lineups. I guess he was not too busy in the early 90s.
He needed money. He had a lot of entourage to take care of.
Yeah.
And one of the funnier things in later seasons of the baseball team, they changed the names of the teams to the Homeboys and the Away Boys, and I've always thought that was like a really funny play on words.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I see that there are a lot of these actually uploaded to YouTube though, including 1991, 95. Do they have that 1990? I wonder. But yeah, there's a lot of these in like full length. So it looks like they're about an hour long.
Yeah, I remember them just playing these like constantly. They were always fun.
Bring that back to MTV.
Yeah, just fun weirdo events.
Yeah, Dan Cortez is probably not doing much.
That's true. I think he was involved in every single one of these.
He would have to be. He was, he was the athletic face of that network. If there was a volleyball game happening on any beach during spring break, he would be there.
Mm-hmm. So what is your weird piece of baseball media?
Well, my weird is a movie. It's a 1934 comedy slash mystery film starring a guy named Robert Young called Death on the Diamond. And this is it's what it sounds like. It's a murder mystery that takes place on a baseball field during baseball games, where individual players are getting knocked off one by one. And I can't remember. I think it's like the assistant coach plays the role of the detective, and he's got to solve who's killing his players, or maybe it was just a cop. I can't really remember it. I saw a few years ago, and I do remember enjoying it. It's a pretty silly movie, but it was also pretty fun. And just kind of the high concept of it. To have the combination of a murder mystery and baseball, I think is kind of ahead of its time for 1934. Like if Roy Scheider is tracking down a murderer in a baseball stadium in the movie Night Game, like that makes sense to me. That's the year 1989, but 1934, I feel like you guys are way ahead of the game here. So it's also got young Mickey Rooney in a small role, but don't let that put you off from watching it. Also, it was shot at Wrigley Field, but not that Wrigley Field. This is the Wrigley Field that is in South LA, or at least was in South LA from 1929 to 1961, that I guess is now best known for hosting the Angels in their debut season in the majors before Angel Stadium was built. And outside of that, I guess they hosted a bunch of minor league teams. But it's weird to think in 1961 the majors had two different Wrigley Fields, but they did. And it's in this movie. So you could either watch this movie or I think the same field turns up in a whole bunch of other baseball movies from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. But Death on the Diamond, kind of a fun one. Leonard Maltin describes it as an absurd crime tale. So if you like absurd crime tales, maybe you'll like this.
I do like absurd crime tales. This sounds sort of like the idea that there's a murder mystery going on, like while the game is happening. Kind of reminds me of that that movie that now I'm blanking on the name. The Radioland Murders, starring Brian Benben. They came out in like the 90s, where like they're doing a radio show and somebody's like murdering the actors, and he's like trying to solve the mystery while the radio show is going on. It sounds like that kind of a thing, which I think that movie takes place like during like the 30s or something. So maybe it's a direct homage to that kind of thing. But
well, I thought you were going to say it sounds like Murder at the Vanities, that musical that I picked, where there's a murder mystery happening during, like a musical variety show. Because it is kind of, it feels like that a lot. Like if you watch that and you liked it, but you felt like it could use less musical numbers and more double plays, well, then you got this movie, because it's kind of in the same vein.
Okay, I like that conceit. I would watch that.
It's out there. It's probably get it for free on YouTube. I'm guessing it's so damn old.
Yeah.
Well, that was officially the good, the bad, and the weird.
Well, speaking of the good, the bad, and the weird, let's check in with these folks out here in Junk Food Dinnerland. We actually have only one voicemail this week, but it comes from one of our favorites, Tom from Adelaide. Let's see what he's up to.
Oh, hell yeah.
I can't believe you just sat all over the pinnacle of Australian animation. Do you know how much that means to us? It's almost as important as Yahoo Serious. Okay, look, I'm kidding. There is better Australian animation. I mean, check out Dot and the Kangaroo from like the early to mid 80s. That shit'll blow your mind. It's an animated girl who, basically goes on an adventure with a kangaroo, and basically I'm just getting patriotic just thinking about it. Obviously that's a joke. Cool. If you want to get a GoFundMe to get me to come over to America, I might even venture to Ohio. I don't know, where am I less likely to get shot if I come to your country? I mean, I'll try and not be too offensive, but, I can't promise that, I know all the words to your anthems and all of that jazz. No, I'd love to come, obviously. And no, Ohio is not a a place that I don't want to go to. It's just, obviously finances. Like I said, I'm a middle-aged man in his 40s who's still renting. Yeah, I don't have the money to go to America to meet up with you guys. But I would love to. I would love to hang out here. Been listening to you since, 2010 or 11 or whenever the fuck it was. Yep. Okay, I hope all's going well. I'm midway through an Irish horror movie called The Hallow, which my father actually recommended to me, but he found it on Prime, and so I figured I'd watch it. It seems pretty good so far. Definitely leaning in the way of folk horror, as a lot of Irish horror movies do, but nothing wrong with that. Okay, well, you guys have a good one, huh? And catch you around sometime. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tom, for calling in. And yeah, hopefully we can get you out there. Hopefully one of us wins the lottery, or we have a listener who's like just got a big inheritance, who's like a big Tom from Adelaide fan who wants you to come out or something like that. Because yeah, there's a few people that need to be there. Sweetman, you, like even more so than me and Sean and Kevin, I think. Like even if the meetup is just like people like Sweetman and Kyle from Kentucky and Tom, that's probably more important to a lot of people. They're the real stars of the show.
Maniac. Yeah,
he could pee on everybody. Frisbee, certainly everybody likes Frisbee. So yeah, but I do like this idea of this folk horror movie. There's been some really good folk horror the last few years, so it's a genre I need to get deeper into. So I recently watched The Ritual. It was very good. Men, of course, is very good. Green Knight, Midsummer. So, yeah.
Do we know actually that? Well, yeah. I mean, I like some of them, sure, but let's not talk about folk horrors when I have a joke to make, which is
my mistake.
Which is, do we know that Tom hasn't explored the option of potentially tunneling his way through the center of the earth, coming out of a volcano that might be conveniently located in Ohio, perhaps? I mean, what we've learned recently is that scientifically that's possible. Certainly. Yeah. I think it's not only scientifically possible, it's scientifically inevitable. If you go down there, you're coming up a volcano spout. It's happened 3 out of 3 times. Yeah.
And usually when you're not even looking for one, you just kind of wander into a tunnel and you get spat out. But I don't think that you'd be any more or less likely to get shot in Ohio than anywhere else. I mean, the sad part of the shootings here is that they are 100% totally random. So you're rolling the dice whenever you're here in America. Could happen in a really crime-ridden part of a town, or it could just happen at a school, hospital, movie theater, just wherever you might be. So random. It's like lightning striking. You never know. That's like the fun of living here in America. Your day can get spicy.
Yeah, you could be shot by a career criminal who maybe you just got in his way between him and his next, bank robbery or something. You could be shot by just a psychopath who's having a bad day. Or you could be shot more often than not by the men who put on the badge and claim to protect and serve.
Yeah, that's generally who's going to be doing the shooting is a cop who's pulled you over for going 4 miles over the speed limit and who's like very, very scared, and they're just going to shoot you.
Yeah, so. And saw your Notorious B.I.G. t-shirt.
Yep. Saw you reaching a little too hastily for your driver's license and insurance, and you got got. So that's the fun of America, I guess. But on that note, let's find out about the real fun of America, which is, of course, baseball, America's pastime. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about baseball, so stick around.
This ain't high school, man. You're at a new level here. You have not earned teammate status yet.
Who the hell are you? Oh, Jake Bradford.
And until you do, you're nobody.
Excuse me. Yeah. Bye.
I'd like to introduce you to the new guys. 2 rules. No booze in this house. Number 2, no girls upstairs in those bedrooms.
I'm seriously worried about these new guys.
Play a good game, man.
We have a little tradition welcoming the new guys. Freshman batting practice! Welcome to the big time, boys.
Oh, my nuts!
Look at what we have here. Hey, ladies. Party later tonight at the baseball houses.
You should be investing this energy elsewhere.
Lesbians.
I like the quiet guy in the backseat.
Oh, there's nothing here. Yeah, I can see how that could get threatening. New guy coming in, getting all the ladies. That was a joke.
I got your joke right here.
Did he just call it a joke?
That's what he implied.
How did you know what room I was in?
I'm an investigative journalism major.
So I guess you know my name then.
Yes. As soon as you tell me.
Starting to have an identity crisis. We've danced at a disco, danced the Cotton Eye Joe and kicker attire, and here we are, punks for a night.
You gotta embrace your inner strange, man. Just be weird. It's about finding out who you are. You gotta tune in, man. Do you guys want to try a little telepathic stuff?
Do it.
Fucking. What am I thinking about?
Baseball. Having a tail. Cereal.
Just thinking about sharks.
Sharks have tails.
That's a good point. That's a good
I
point.
wish I had a tail.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I'm pretty sure that is a new school record.
Welcome back to Junk Fod Supper. The movie we'll be talking about this evening is Everybody Wants Some, the 2016 Richard Linklater movie that is billed as the spiritual successor to Dazed and Confused and also kind of Boyhood as well. This is a movie that, according to my research, I'll get some of the facts out of the way here. It was Richard Linklater had been wanting to make it for like 10 years. It was something that he wasn't able to get funding for a while until the indie studio Annapurna, I think it is. I don't have it in front of me. It's a weird name, but they do they do a lot of cool indie stuff. They picked it up and they financed it, and then it was distributed by Paramount.
Is Soderbergh involved with that Annapurna company, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else?
That sounds accurate. That might be. I'd have to. Let's see. I think so. It's somebody like that.
Yeah, there's also a mountain in Nepal, apparently, with the same name, which makes it tough to Google.
Yeah, those are the sons of bitches that came up when I just Googled it. Founded by Megan Ellison. Whoever that is.
Okay. All right.
But, yeah, they've done a lot of good movies.
Yeah, they put out The Master. They put out Zero Dark 30. They put out some things.
Yeah. Phantom Thread. They put out.
Yeah. Her.
Wiener Dog, the Todd Solondz movie. They do a lot of stuff with Linklater. They put out at least a few of his movies. So yeah, they do good stuff. But yeah, they definitely helped get this made. And they raised the funds for it apparently at a time when Linklater was working on a remake of The Incredible Mr. Limpet, the Don Knotts movie, for like some studio. And then when he learned that they were finally going to be able to go ahead with this, he stopped doing that in favor of this, which I think is probably a smart move. And I remember this like getting jerked around a lot. Like I think that this had like 3 or 4 different like release dates. Like they would move it up and then they would move it back, and then it got released small, and then with the promise of it like being released wider in the future, and then that wide release kind of never happened. And so it had a $10 million budget and only made $5 million. But with the amount of being jerked around that it got, that doesn't sound crazy. It was only released on like not even 500 screens, I think, as well. So, which is not a lot. So making any amount of money, I guess, probably would have been difficult for this movie. But with that being said, I saw it not in the theater, but when it came out on streaming, and I loved it. As we all know, Richard Linklater's one of my dudes. Maybe my main dude. Him and De Palma, definitely my two main dudes. And the first time I watched it, I really liked it, but I wasn't like totally in love with it. And I didn't really understand the spiritual successor to Dazed and Confused thing outside of like maybe just a marketing thing. But now in my second watch of it, I definitely understand where he's coming from. We'll talk about it, I'm sure. But the plot of this is that our boy, Jake, played by Blake Jenner, it's his first day at college. He's at a college in, of course, Texas. He plays baseball. He's a pitcher. He's meeting all his housemates, who are also his teammates. The entire team lives in two busted down houses, one of which I believe is actually Richard Linklater's actual frat house that he lived in when he was in college. His real life experience is very, very similar to Jake's experience. He went to a very similar school and played baseball before finding the theater, as Jake does near the end.
Because this was shot in Austin, despite I think it's set in kind of an anonymous Texas town, but they did shoot in Austin, I believe, right?
Yeah, they shot mostly in Austin. They also shot some stuff in like San Antonio and like around, but yeah, mostly in Austin. And yeah, the real life school is like right outside of Austin, I think. Which this was originally supposed to just be set at the real life school, but then over the course of it became sort of a nondescript, just some school in Texas kind of a thing. And so, yeah, we just kind of follow these dudes as they kind of feel out who they are in life and feel out the boundaries between the other guys. There's like a lot of competition within the house, as you might imagine, with a bunch of people who are all competing for a spot on a baseball team, and then beyond that, competing for the eyes of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, at one point, the competition turns into a rock and jock event, and Dan Cortez shows up.
Yeah, Dan Cortez and Keanu Reeves show up and play baseball with them. Yeah, those are some of my favorite moments, like in this, which is, I mean, it's a Linklater movie, so there's not a lot of plot. It's all just moments, I guess. But yeah, like these guys kind of like feeling out the boundaries of like alpha maleism, although it's like done in like this very wholesome way. Like I saw somebody describe this movie as like the idealized version of masculinity, like if it was like good, you know? And like I think that that's correct.
This movie seems to take a very pro-hazing standpoint in a way that I don't think a lot of movies made right now do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is very much in the vein of like things used to be different and it was okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that that's where some of the spiritual successor to Dazed and Confused stuff comes in, because the hazing in that movie is seen as nightmarish and horrible. And I think that that movie is very similar to this one in that it's all about like nostalgia for a certain time in your life. And Dazed and Confused is sort of like an anti-nostalgia movie where like it's kind of showing you high school actually sucked. It was horrible. You got your ass beat by Ben Affleck all the time, and you were either cheating on somebody or getting cheated on and getting in trouble with your mom. It sucked. And this movie is it's much more like, no, nostalgia rules. Like, remember all the fun times you had in college? It was sweet. And even like, I mean, I'd imagine that the hazing in real life was probably way worse than it was that the way the movie depicts it. But like everything has like rose-colored glasses a little bit, because like, I mean, yeah, Linklater, it's like the way the movie works is like it's looking at memories, and you always remember things a little bit better than they were. So like, I mean, you know, unless you're the kid getting beat by Ben Affleck, I guess. But like, yeah, so this is sort of like the other side of that coin. We're like remembering the good times rather than like in Dazed and Confused, remembering the times that Ben Affleck was going to beat you up, and that Joey Lauren Adams was going to humiliate you in front of everybody.
This is the Batman we're talking about here.
That is the Batman we're talking about.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
And yeah, so yeah, and I mean, to the spiritual successor part of this, I also think it's very fun that Dazed and Confused is about the last day of high school, and this is about the first day of college. Like, so if you were to do them as a double feature, they would just kind of seamlessly blend together. This takes place like 4 years after Dazed and Confused, though, in 1980. And there is a really fun character by the name of Willoughby, who's played by Wyatt Russell in this, who is Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn's son. He's like this stoner.
I didn't know that.
Indeed so.
Okay, well that explains why I liked that actor so much.
Yeah, he's really good. He's in stuff from time to time, and I always like him. He was in the Captain America TV show, which wasn't great, but he was really good in it. He's in that movie Overlord, which is like a Nazi zombie movie. Anytime he pops up in something, I always like him.
He kind of reminded me of like a straight version of John Early from Search Party, if you know that actor. But yeah, this guy was good in this Willoughby.
Yeah, he's a really interesting character too. And his story as it plays out is really fun. But yeah, he's a pitcher who's also a stoner. And he also has taped all the episodes of Twilight Zone. So I think that Kevin would really like this guy in real life. I think that they would get along a lot. But it turns out that, over the course of the movie, it's revealed, and spoilers here for a movie with no plot, but that he is actually like a 30-year-old dude who just goes from college to college playing baseball because he just loves it. Like, he loves being at college and he loves playing baseball, and he couldn't get into the majors. So he just goes from town to town playing baseball, which I think is like, it's like he's living the life. I mean, that sounds awesome. Yeah. One.
Well, but it does sort of like ignore the fact that there is another avenue for players that want to go pro but can't quite make it. In fact, the predominant place that people play baseball before being in the majors is not college, it's the minor leagues, right?
Yeah, that is true. Have the minor leagues always been around? I mean, I assume they probably must have.
I would think so. I mean, I guess I don't really know. Maybe college ball was a bigger deal in 1980, but I was surprised that nobody mentioned that, of just like, well, why don't you just go play for the AA team or whatever, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he likes chicks and smoking weed. You can't, so colleges have that. But yeah, I also think that it's like, when I was watching this, I was like, well, is Willoughby kind of the Linklater character? And then I was like, no, that's stupid. Of course it's Jake. But I think in a sense, Willoughby is, because, he goes from town to town, like just kind of reliving this nostalgia that he had for like the first time he was in college playing ball, which is kind of like what Linklater's career is. Like, he just makes these movies kind of reliving his nostalgia of like periods of his life. So I think Willoughby is kind of Linklater that way. Also, he gets like high and talks about like very philosophical stuff, the way that I'm sure Linklater does too. But anyway, so I like that character a lot. I also like the scene where he's doing like naked yoga while imagining striking people out. I think that's funny. And I love the house that these guys live in. Like, the furniture situation is so beautiful and like captures that you're 22 and live on your own vibe so well. Like, their house, like there's like nothing on the walls. They've got like one poster of like a hot chick. And then it's just like random chairs and sofas thrown everywhere. Like, that's it. Like, yeah, nothing else. Like, I think all the beds are like, there's no box springs and stuff. Like, it's like the perfect dude's early 20s house.
It also feels like all of the walls and ceilings in the house are like at a slight angle. Like, it could just kind of topple over at any point in time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, when Jake first shows up, they're like filling a bathtub up with water or something, and like the ceiling's like buckling in. So yeah, it's definitely a house that probably does not exist anymore, because it's pretty beat up. Going back to Willoughby, there's a part where he's very high and talking about music, and he's talking about like whatever song it is.
I think it's a Pink Floyd track.
Pink Floyd, there you go. And he's talking about how, it's like the real music is like the tangents going on like within the framework of the song, like kind of like between the big beats of the song. And in addition to just being fun stoner talk, like that kind of sums up everything that Richard Linklater does, like he's like, he just shows you like those little tiny moments in between the big moments of life. Like I think all the most important stuff in this like really kind of happens off screen. Like the one guy has like a scare with his girlfriend where she might be pregnant, and like that drama is off screen. A lot of the baseball is off screen. And so on. So I really like that part too. They go to a punk rock show at one point in this, which I think is really cool, in that Jake sees a guy who he played played baseball with in high school. And he's a punk rocker now, and they take him to a punk rock show. And I like that they still have that camaraderie, like the idea that playing baseball together bonds you, even if one guy becomes a punk and one guy goes to college. Like, I think that's like a really sweet kind of masculinity thing. But the punk rock show is fun because the band that's playing is the Riverboat Gamblers, who are a real band and are amazing. They're one of my favorite bands.
I figured you would know. I was going to ask, did you happen to know what that band was?
Indeed. They're very good. And they play a cover of the Gilligan's Island song, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Everybody at the club loves.
Mm-hmm. Of the clubs that they go to a bar, they go to the country bar, they go to the discotheque, and they go to the punk club. Which one of those clubs did you like the most? Which one would you party at, Sean Byron?
I mean, in 1980, I think I am going to the discotheque. I think that's probably the peak era of discotheque. Not that this one was altogether that incredible looking, but I just feel like, it'd just be period appropriate.
Yeah. It seemed like a fun discotheque. It had a good vibe.
Yeah.
There is a character in this named Detroit. Like, there's these two guys who are like both alpha male types. There's a pitcher named Detroit. I don't know what his real name is. They call him Detroit because he's from Detroit. And Mick Reynolds, who is played by some guy, Tyler Hoechlin, who's like fucking amazing in this movie. He's got a great mustache, and he splits baseballs in two with an axe, like that are being pitched to him, which I think is amazing.
I'd say he's a hot piece of ass.
Well, that too. But there's this scene where like they're trying to like alpha male each other, and McReynolds wins like the alpha male off because he hits a home run off this guy's pitch, and the guy like freaks out and he's like throwing a fit and he's like, "Fuck you guys" and all this. But then later on, he comes up to McReynolds and he doesn't even say anything. Like he just kind of like nods at him, and McReynolds is just like, "All right, we're cool." And then like it's like this sweetest moment of like kind of like masculinity checking itself in like a wholesome way that I love. I just love that scene so much. And I don't know, and a whole lot of other stuff happens. I've been talking about this a lot. I like this movie a great deal. Sean, what do you think about this movie? You like the baseball stuff. There's some fun baseball stuff in here, right?
I like baseball stuff. Whether or not there's any in this, I guess TBD. Maybe I'll need to watch it a second time like you to absorb more of that baseball stuff. But this was my first time seeing this. Hadn't seen it before. And at this point, I am pretty close to having seen all of the Linklater movies, at least like the big feature films. I think I just got to see Before Sunset and Midnight, and what's that Jack Black one? Bernie. I got to see that.
Yeah,
but
those are all good. Those are some of the best ones.
Really? Okay. Well, so I guess I still got stuff to look forward to. I thought, well, I know that you like those Before Sunset, Midnight movies. I wasn't too crazy about the first one. I liked it okay. Bernie, I thought was supposed to be bad, but maybe I just had the wrong read on that.
It's different. It's a very different Linklater movie, but I think like Jack Black was nominated for like a Golden Globe or something, or maybe even an Oscar for that movie.
Oh.
Like Yeah,
the
it's
most
pretty
prestigious and trustworthy organization on the planet, the Golden Globes.
well, I don't know. It's a pretty. I think people pretty universally like that movie. Is what I mean to say.
Okay, all right, good. But yeah, never saw this. I do remember when it came out, and I remember thinking, oh, I'll probably catch this eventually. I like baseball. I was surprised at the time that it had no name actors in it. This is coming from a pretty well-known director, pretty well-established at this point in time. And, in theaters, and for it to have like not a single actor that I recognize, I thought was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think ideally, this movie would have been like the launching, would have been like the launching point for, some undiscovered acting talents. But it's been like 7 years now since this came out. And I feel like I still had not heard of any of these guys. So I think maybe, it failed on that front, unfortunately. And
yeah, I think for the most part, you're right, which is pretty amazing because I think everybody in this movie is like really, really good, except for that Jake guy. He's kind of bland, but I think that's kind of the point of him. But yeah, like that guy who plays McReynolds, he's the new Superman on like the new CW show.
Oh,
so I guess he's doing okay. It's a TV show. And then the guy who plays Finnegan, what's his name? Glenn Powell, who's one of my favorite characters. I think he's very fun. He's the guy who talks about his average cock all the time. He was in Top Gun, and he's in the new Richard Linklater movie that comes out later this year. So certainly nobody from this has like blown up, but they're around. They're doing stuff, I guess.
Yeah, they're out there. They're working, but I do feel like maybe they were banking on one of these guys blowing up, and it sadly didn't happen. And I think if that happened, of course, that would draw more people to this movie, and probably I would have maybe even called this up before now, but I hadn't, and was still interested. And as the movie started, I felt like it was scoring a lot of points with me. Like one of the very first shots in this movie features a copy of Devo's first album next to an old wood-paneled Pioneer turntable that looks a lot like my own. And there's just a lot of like visual cues in this that were appealing to me. Like an early scene features a very long phone cord.
Oh yeah. That phone cord is like super long. I thought you would like that.
Well, I did like it. It's I didn't love it. It's not the handset phone cord, unfortunately. It's the base cord, which is a lot less exciting, but still kind of cool to see it. And lots of cool like late 70s automobiles and stuff, in the school parking lot. Not that they do much with these cool old cars, but they at least got some old timers to like drive them over to the school parking lot and park them in the background of the scene. And I guess that's kind of cool. And, as you mentioned, there's some fun parties in this. At one of these parties, I kind of half expected to see somebody piss right into a hole in the wall, but sadly never happens.
Yeah, this definitely reminded me of those types of parties.
Yeah, it's
that we would have.
It's on the borderline of wall pissing action. There's the threat of wall pissery, just hanging over the entire picture. I will say,
but I mean, that's almost the point of the movie. Is like there would be no wall pissery in it at the party of these guys because they're too wholesome. Like what we were up to at my house, not wholesome like these guys. These are like this is like masculinity partying done correctly and nicely, and we weren't that. So
yeah, well, they're just rubbing each other's butts and balls over each other's faces, though. I mean, I'm not sure that's so wholesome, but.
Boys will be boys.
Yeah, of course, I guess. I will say I didn't really love the punk band and the punk rock club scene, but the odds of me liking any punk band from the 2010s is basically zero. Maybe if they could have like spliced in some footage of Fear or something, I would have maybe enjoyed that more. But as much as I did kind of like the early goings of this, as it goes on, it has kind of a straight to streaming vibe. In fact, I thought this movie might have been straight to streaming at first because of its like mid-budget, low stakes sort of nature. And then at some point in this 2-hour runtime, like things start feeling to me not only sort of low stakes, but like way too low stakes. And maybe part of that is that I didn't really vibe with many of these characters except for that stoner kid, Willoughby. I did like him. But the rest of them, I'm just like, I don't really know you guys. I can't really relate to you guys. And there isn't even very much internal conflict or character development on screen for anyone, let alone actual incidents of plot. Like you could say, okay, this one guy, the main guy, he falls for the theater girl. But that's it. I mean, it's not like he changes as a person. He's just got a new girlfriend and he's hanging out with a few new people. And that doesn't go on for long enough for there to be any like established change for the character. They just kind of introduce it and then you're pretty much at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it might not be like, it's not like the most dramatically intense thing, but that is sort of the point. It's just this snapshot of this guy's first weekend before college. And so, I mean, I think he changes as much as a person can change over the course of 2 days, I suppose, but it is only 2 days.
Yeah, well, and I'm a guy who famously says all the time that I think plots are overrated, and I don't care about story all that much, but there's got to be something to hang your hat on. And this is a movie that doesn't have a whole lot of like, interesting visual flair on its own, like outside of like, getting cool looking muscle cars for the background. It's not like this is shot in a way that looks all that interesting, which is fine. But you got to have something. Like maybe if this had a bunch of laughs where I was, slapping my knee on my couch, that would be something. But it doesn't quite have that. I mean, there are a couple of laughs in this for me, but not too many. And I guess, maybe one problem with mounting this production is just that the way that people dressed in the year 1980, man, it really does make it hard for you to watch the entire movie without mostly just thinking about these short shorts that these men are wearing and not being sure, like, is it supposed to be funny? Like, are they doing a goofy send them up of what clothing was like back then? Or are they trying to be realistic? And they don't really stretch it, I don't think, into like an absurd territory. I think it is actually fairly kind of period accurate. Mm-hmm. But it still looks silly and bizarre. And so you do spend a lot of time just looking at people's very crowded, inseams on their pants, etc.
I think that we would feel a lot better in life if we could all just wear these short shorts that that dudes were wearing in the 80s. I think it would cool us off. We'd be more mobile, just happier in general, I think.
Well, I mean, you're speaking my language when you're talking about the cooling effects of, wearing shorts. That's part of my, it's one of my core tenets of being, I guess I would say. But there is a limit. There's a limit. And when your testicles are in danger of turning this into an X-rated comedy at any given point in time by accident, I think maybe that's the limit. And then also, of course, there is the fact that this was sold to me by a fellow podcaster as a quote-unquote baseball movie, when it's really much less about baseball and more about various dive bars in the Austin area. The first glimpse of baseball, I clocked it, is over 90 minutes into this movie, and it's the only glimpse of baseball in this movie. There is one baseball scene. It's probably about 4 minutes long. And then throughout the entire rest of the movie, they don't even watch like a baseball game on TV or anything, despite the fact that this takes place in the year 1980, a year that the Houston Astros finished first in their division and had a good postseason run. You would think these kids would probably be watching the Astros on TV, but no, they don't even talk about baseball, really, outside of just like being like, he's the catcher, he's the pitcher, and other, potentially homoerotic subtext laden dialogue lines. So in the end, I can't say that I really liked this, but I also didn't hate it. It just felt to me like it was very surface level stuff. I didn't feel like there was much here that I hadn't seen in other movies. But I still like Richard Linklater, and the guy's made enough things that I really enjoyed that I'm always up to check out what he's up to. And, like you said, this movie checks all of the nostalgia boxes. You've got vintage Dr. Pepper cans, vinyl records, classic rock jams on the soundtrack, pinball games and foosball tables, muscle cars and muscle men in short shorts. It's got all those things. So, I guess if you're just in the mood for a pure hit of nostalgia and nothing else, I think this might scratch that itch, but otherwise, I don't know. Maybe if you yourself happen to be a 56-year-old film director from Austin, Texas, remembering his own personal heyday when he was 20 years old, then you'll probably really love this. Or I guess maybe if you have like an alien who crash lands in your backyard and wanted like a primer on the basics of human male bonding, this also would fit that bill. But just don't go into this expecting a baseball movie, because I think you might be disappointed. But it did turn out to be a wonderful resource for lovers of hairy thighs on film. Certainly a lot of that in this.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot of that. What about the scene where McReynolds hits the baseball with the axe? Was that super cool to you?
I liked it okay. Yeah, I like that. And I wish I could do that myself.
Yeah, that would definitely be really cool. And he made $30 taking that bet. So,
do we think that people could really do that? Because I was watching that and thinking that's I guess kind of a funny little scene for this movie, but nobody's really doing this in real life.
I mean, it's Linklater. I don't think he's using CG. I think they took 30 takes of that until the guy got it right. I would imagine. But I'll do some research on it and find out for sure. I think there's no other way to do that other than to just do it.
Well, kudos to Linklater. Maybe he was shooting that, in between takes of Boyhood for 20 years or whatever, until he finally got it.
I hope so. Yeah, well, that's Everybody Wants Some. I laughed a lot during it. I thought it was fun. I liked hanging out with these guys. I wouldn't hang out with these guys in real life. I don't think they would accept me, but I liked them in this movie.
Yeah. Turns out not everybody wanted some of this movie because I didn't love it,
But you liked it.
I wouldn't even say I liked it, but I didn't hate it.
Well, that's crazy.
This is a 2.5 star movie.
You're a crazy person. You're a crazy person.
Nothing happens.
That's the point.
It's just a bunch of grab ass. I can do that on my own.
Oh my God.
You think I can't do grab ass on my own? I can grab ass all day long.
Every week you talk about, I hate plots. Now I give you something pure with no plot. No, not one trace of plot. Now all of a sudden you're Mr. Spielberg over here. 1 in 3 acts.
No plot, but so many of these tough boys and very little in the way of, gorgeous gowns.
Well, that's true. That's true. I did want to mention there's a scene that got cut that's on YouTube, which is like a post-credits, during credits rap song that the entire cast does. And it's a rap where the lyrics tell you about the movie, which I think is a lost art form. And it starts out in the discotheque, and each guy on the baseball team does a little verse about themselves. And as it goes on, the discotheque becomes just a big empty room. At first it seems like it's a lively place like it is earlier in the movie. And then as it goes on, it becomes empty. And then as it continues to go on, Linklater pulls back more and you can see the movie cameras. And then he pulls back more and then you see that they're on a sound stage. And I thought that was really interesting because Linklater doesn't really do anything that kind of breaks the fourth wall or is meta, outside of maybe Waking Life. So I thought that was a very atypical Linklater thing to do. So I don't know. It's on YouTube if you're interested. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I did also want to shout out that I liked the party that was going on in the theater group world towards the end. They're at that cool theater group party with all the people dressed up as Alice in Wonderland and all that stuff.
Yeah, that theater party seemed really fun. That's the party I would be at if I was at this college.
Actually, if Linklater is listening, hey man, why don't you make a movie about the ladies that are at this college at the same time, at that party, in that theater group, that whole crew of people? I'd be interested in that. Let's see the opposite perspective on this.
I would also like to see that. Speaking of, the reason that they go to that party is because of Beverly, the girl that Jake likes, who's played by Zoe Deutsch, who I don't really know, but I think she's kind of famous, and she's really good in this movie. So we neglected to mention her, but she's great.
And she looks like Leah Thompson, and that doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for Everybody Wants Some. We're gonna do a movie next week. You're not gonna be here.
That's right. I'm not going to be here, but should I present a pick for a couple weeks from now or a few weeks from now?
Well, let me tell you first what's going to happen next week.
Okay.
Hello, wife. As you know, Ghoul Summer is coming up.
Oh, no.
And this year, I need to find the most depraved movie to show to Kevin, and I need you to pick it. Here is the list of all of the Bills Above movies. The faded ones are the ones we've already watched, most of which were either for junk food dinner or pool party, some of which for just my own pleasure. But of the ones remaining that are not faded out, I need you to pick the one that looks the most depraved to you. You can scroll through, but as you can see, there's a lot of good choices. Jesus Christ, Serial Rapist, Forgive Me for Raping You, Santa Claus A Horror Story, Kill the Scream Queen, Breaking Her Will, Dick Nato, Zombie Christ. There's more if you scroll down. But I need you to find the perfect Ghoul Summer movie for Kevin. Was that one? To Love a Clown? Ass Monster? Dumb and Dahmer?
Does Rap Sucks count? Is that part of it?
I'm going to guess that one's really racist, so that actually might be more ghoulish than some of the other ones.
All of these are eligible?
All of them, except for the faded ones.
Just one that says depraved looks pretty bad, and that's what you're asking for, right?
Yep, whichever one.
The most depraved, and that one that's titled Depraved looks pretty bad.
It looks a little bit bad, but there's also Jesus Christ, Serial Rapist. Boogers.
Why? Boogers of the Antichrist?
All boogers of the Antichrist, yeah.
Is that what that says?
Yeah. You're going in order. The ones up near the top are the more popular ones, so maybe they're of better quality, I'm not sure.
Better quality for Bills Above?
Because they're more popular? I don't know. Maybe that can help you decide.
There's a quality there?
There might be. I don't know. I mean, as much as he has quality.
Breaking Her Will sounds pretty bad.
Sounds pretty bad.
What would Kevin think is the most depraved? Is that the question? Are we trying to deprave Kevin?
That's always what we're trying to do.
Objective?
That's always what we try to do on Junk Food Dinner every week.
Kevin.
But which is the one that you think, which one would you hate to watch the most, really?
Well, any of them, pretty much. The most offensive comedy ever made.
Mm-hmm. That could be one.
Captive audience. That's any 1 second watching his movies is that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with the one that is disgusting. Probably just depraved.
Depraved?
Yeah.
Not one with like a silly name that will shock Kevin to his core?
I think the cover probably would be shocking enough on that one. Depraved.
Okay. All right, depraved it is. But I'm going to be honest with you. This was a trick. I deceived you.
What? What do you mean? Why?
Because next week is a normal junk food supper show, and Kevin's not going to be there, but Sean's not going to be there either because he's going to be on vacation. So that's the movie me and you are going to be watching for Ghoul Summer together.
Wait.
Yeah.
How in the hell did I get roped into being part of Ghoul Summer?
So me and the wife are going to be watching a Bills Above movie next week. She picked this movie Depraved, but I couldn't find it anywhere online, and I didn't want to pay $25 for the Blu-ray. So I think instead of Depraved, we're going to pick Exploitation, because one Bills Above movie is just the same as the next, which I found readily online.
Very nice.
Next week, Exploitation by Bills Above. We're starting Ghoul Summer off properly, because the week after that, we're doing Ghoul Summer with Kevin. So it's going to be a nice Ghoul Summer. So for 3 weeks from now, then, when you're back, are there any Ghoul Summer movies that Jules Verne wrote or anything like that? What do you got?
I was not really even thinking about the possibility of extending our Ghoul Summer past, just the 1 week allotment that we have with Kevin. So no, I have nothing ghoulish planned necessarily, but
That's for the best. I'm glad, actually.
But I am impressed with your skullduggery over here. Your art of subterfuge. That you're able to pull off this kind of a long con on Jennifer. And I look forward to the results. Now I've got something fun to listen to on the airplane.
It's going to be gross.
Well, I got I got an offer for you. An offer of, do you want to pick what we'll be watching 3 weeks from now? Would you prefer a 1988 Canon Pictures film starring Kathy Ireland? Or would you prefer another adaptation of Journey to the Center of the Earth?
Well, I know that the Kathy Ireland movie is also a journey to the center of the earth. So this is a ruse. You're trying to trick me now.
This is a very short con. In fact, it is a cunning ruse. The joke is on you. They're the same thing, because we will be reviewing 1988's Alien from LA, directed by your number one homeboy, Albert Pune, inventor of Captain America, starring Kathy Ireland and co-starring your homeboy, Deep Roy from Eastbound and Down.
And Freaked?
Well, mostly from Eastbound and Down, but yeah, also from Freaked. Yeah.
True, yeah.
And Basketball and a million things.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, at least we're getting closer to the stuff I like, I guess. I do like Albert Pune movies usually. So.
Closer to present day, when at that point in time, logically, there will be no more of these movies to review.
Are you doing them chronologically? Is that how this is going?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going pure chronological.
Okay. So then what do we got? Like the two Disney ones left after this?
Well, there's a follow-up. There's a 1989 canon Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Okay.
That is like a sequel to Alien from LA.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I didn't know about that one.
And there's a whole bunch of other ones that I won't spoil the fun of you finding out what various countries made very crummy-looking mid-90s made-for-television movies.
All right. Well, hopefully you at least take a break during October. Because if there's science fiction during Schlocktober, Tom from Adelaide's going to be fucking pissed off. We don't.
My promise to you is I take a break during Schlocktober. I also take a break during Christmas, because that's when we have to review the Siskel and Ebert holiday gift guides.
Oh my God. Well, I guess all right. Well, we can actually do Jules Verne that week instead of Siskel and Ebert. That's fine.
I would think that you would be excited about Alien from LA.
No, I am. I've seen that movie before. I've seen the Mystery Science Theater version, and I actually have it on DVD, and I've never watched it. So the real version. So I'm in. I'm excited. I like Albert Pune. So I'm good with this one.
I've never seen it, but it seems like a junk food dinner movie, and I was actually kind of surprised that we never did it before. So
yeah, that is surprising. Yeah, I think Kevin likes that movie. I think he talks about it from time to time. So yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, it's an Albert Pune movie that was on Mystery Science Theater, but like it's good, within those parameters, kind of it's really good. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
or at least that's the way I remember. I was 15 the last time I watched it, I think. So who knows?
And what is the official Ghoul Summer lineup for the week in between all of this?
That's a great question. Let me find it on our trusty website. So after Beelzebub's exploitation, we will be here with Kevin Moss to talk about Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer from 1986, Song of the Blind Girl from 2011, and The Titty Cut Follies from 1967.
The Titty Cut Follies?
If it would have just been another nipple torture scene, I would have been furious.
I don't think that's what they mean by titty cut, but okay, Kevin.
Well, I hope so. Otherwise, it's going to be a Fredo pick for Ghoul Summer. There'll be some titties getting cut.
Titty Cut Follies. Could this potentially be another sequel to my murder mystery musical from the 1930s, Murder at the Vanities?
Only time will tell.
Probably not, though. It probably will be ghoulish.
Yeah. Well, until the Ghoul summer festivities begin, I think we're going to be taking a week-long break. So until next week, this is Parker for Sean Byron saying thanks for having fun.
Is this going to be a Ghoul summer?